Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. This is another WIDA Access writing lesson. It's lesson 5. Today we're going to be talking about the language of science. So you can go ahead and pause the video and read this introduction and then restart when you're ready to continue. So the writing practice in this lesson focuses on science, and the language of science involves vocabulary and phrases used in the context of the science classroom. This might include vocabulary related to biology, chemistry, physics, or earth science, discussions about experiments, lab procedures, hypotheses, etc. You can also pause the video and read these writing tips, and then restart when you're ready to continue. Alright, you can read along with the text as you listen and take notes as you read.
Motion. The class is learning about how things move. Objects stay still unless something pushes or pulls them. When a person pushes an object, it moves in the same direction as the push. If no one pushes it, the object stays in place. For example, when you push a shopping cart, it rolls forward. If you stop pushing, the shopping cart will stop moving.
And you can also pay attention to the photos and read the captions, because this could include information that you might want to include in your answer. So you're going to read the prompt and you'll have 10 minutes to complete the task.
What makes a shopping cart move? Write 2 sentences.
Alright, so it's time to organize your ideas. You can look at the prompt, any notes that you took, the picture to help you. Go ahead and write your 2 sentences. And then once you've written the sentences, check them against this checklist. And here is a sample response. A push causes a shopping cart to move. If a person does not push the shopping cart, it will not move. All right, read along with the text as you listen here. Look at the photos and also take notes if you need to.
When you push an object harder, it will move faster. However, if the object is heavy, it takes more energy to make it move. Pushing a light box is easier than pushing a heavy box because the light box weighs less. A lighter object needs less energy to move. When you push 2 objects with different weights, they will not move in the same way. A heavier object needs more energy to move than a lighter object. This is why some objects will move more easily than others.
Why do light objects move differently than heavy objects pushed the same way? Write a paragraph of 3 to 5 sentences.
So this task is a little more difficult than the previous one, so you have more time to complete it. You would have 20 minutes to complete this task. So you can organize your ideas by looking at your notes and the pictures, the sentences below the pictures. Then go ahead and write your paragraph. And then check your finished paragraph against the items in the checklist. And now we'll take a look at a sample response. Heavy objects and light objects both need energy to move. The difference is that heavy objects need more energy than light objects to move. So, a person needs to push a heavy object with more energy than they need to push a light object, both objects to move at the same distance.
Motion doesn't only depend on pushes or pulls, it also depends on the surface an object moves on. Friction, or the resistance between 2 surfaces, affects how easily an object can move. A ball rolls more smoothly on a smooth floor than on rough carpet. Smooth surfaces reduce friction, allowing objects to move faster and farther. In contrast, rough surfaces create more friction, which slows objects down. This is why athletes use special shoes for running or playing sports to grip the ground and prevent slipping. We need friction to walk because without it, we would slip.
How does friction affect the way objects move? How do surfaces change how an object moves? Write a paragraph of 5 to 8 sentences. Use examples.
All right, again, you would have 30 minutes to complete this task because it's, again, a little more difficult than the last one. Be sure to use the pictures, your notes, and what you heard in the audio, and don't forget to use examples. Now write your paragraph and check the finished paragraph against the checklist. And here's a sample response. Friction slows down or stops objects when they are moving. For example, when you push a toy car on the floor, it slows down because the friction between the wheels and the floor. If the surface is smooth, the car will move farther, but if the surface is rough, the car will stop quickly. This happens because rough surfaces create more friction than smooth ones. Friction is also helpful, like when you walk. Your shoes grip the ground so that you don't slip. Without friction, it would be hard to stop or control how things move.
Monarch butterflies. Butterflies are insects that play an important role in nature. They begin their life cycle as eggs and grow into adult butterflies through several stages. The diagram below shows the life cycle of a butterfly. It can take 3 to 6 weeks for an egg to turn into a butterfly, depending on the species of butterfly. Monarch butterflies take about 31 days to turn from an egg into a butterfly.
Describe the life cycle of a butterfly. How does an egg turn into a butterfly? What are the stages? Write a paragraph of 3 to 5 sentences using details from the diagram.
All right, so you would describe the life cycle, organize your ideas by looking at the diagram and any notes that you took from the reading. Go ahead and write your paragraph. And then when you're finished writing, be sure to check your paragraph against this checklist. And now we'll look at a sample response. The life cycle of a butterfly has 4 stages. First, the butterfly lays an egg on a leaf. Next, the egg hatches into a caterpillar. After that, the caterpillar builds a home and becomes a pupa. Finally, the pupa changes into a butterfly.
Monarch butterflies are famous for their long migration, flying thousands of miles each year to find warmer places in the winter. Monarch caterpillars need milkweed plants to survive because they only eat milkweed leaves. However, these butterflies face problems that make their journey more difficult. One major problem is habitat loss. When farms or cities grow, milkweed plants are often removed, leaving monarchs with fewer places to lay their eggs and less food for their caterpillars. Another challenge is climate change. Extreme weather, like very hot temperatures or storms, can disrupt the butterflies' migration and make survival harder. Fewer monarchs mean smaller populations, which can harm ecosystems. Butterflies help pollinate plants, and some animals eat them as part of the food chain. To protect monarchs, people can plant milkweed and make safe spaces for them to live and grow.
How do habitat loss and climate change affect monarch butterflies? Write a paragraph of 5 to 8 sentences. Use details from the text to describe the effects on their life cycle and migration.
There's also a tip here to read the captions under the photos because these might also help you. So organize your ideas, plan your writing using your notes, the pictures and diagrams, and the captions underneath. Now go ahead and write your paragraph. And when you're finished writing, check your paragraph against the following checklist. And now we'll look at a sample response. Monarch butterflies are greatly affected by habitat loss and climate change. Habitat loss happens when farms or cities grow and remove milkweed plants. Without milkweed, monarchs have fewer places to lay their eggs, and their caterpillars don't have enough food to survive. Climate change also causes extreme weather, like heat or storms, which can make their long migration more difficult. If monarchs cannot complete their journey, their population becomes smaller. This is a problem because monarchs help pollinate plants and are an important part of the food chain. To protect monarchs, people can plant milkweed and create safe habitats for them. These actions can help monarchs survive and continue their important role in nature. All right, the next question is based on the previous text and images.
What might happen to monarch butterflies and the ecosystem if their population continues to decline? How could this affect plants, pollination, and other animals? Write 2 paragraphs with a total of 8 to 10 sentences predicting the possible outcomes. Explain why these changes are important.
All right, it's time to organize your ideas by using the information in the previous slides and the chart and pictures. And now go ahead and write the 2 paragraphs. And then when you're finished writing, compare your 2 paragraphs to this checklist. And here's the sample response. If monarch butterflies keep disappearing, it will hurt the ecosystem. Monarchs help pollinate plants when they fly from flower to flower. With fewer butterflies, some plants may not get enough pollination. This means fewer flowers and fruits may grow. Plants are very important because they give food and oxygen to animals and people. If plants do not grow well, if plants do not grow well, it can affect the whole food chain. For example, animals that eat plants or butterflies might not have enough food to survive. The decline of monarch butterflies also shows a bigger problem with nature. It means the environment is not healthy for many animals and plants. If monarchs cannot live, other animals may have the same problem, and the ecosystem may lose its balance. A healthy ecosystem is important for all living things, so it's important for monarch butterflies to continue to exist. All right, and that brings us to the end of today's video. You can do the reflection questions on your own, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.